Sometimes I sit back and wonder what it all means. What seems to be my greatest weakness, along with pride and self-esteem, cause I look too deep in what
I'm gonna tell y'all, I'm getting nervous now because I saw a thing about a new show from HBO about hip hop vampires. I
Oh, I
saw
saw
it.
that.
It's over now.
Sent
We
that
ain't gonna
to Jaleesa yesterday. Like, what the fuck? I'm like,
look.
vampires.
I might as well throw my little love story away because because Lovecraft now coming along. It's like, what? Now we got to all write sci-fi shit? Like, we got to all write fantasy now? Now you like, oh, no, we don't want that. The blacks like this now. Let's create this. Yeah, nah.
Yeah, I'm not trying to watch no hip hop.
No.
It's all thirsty.
Something like that. So that goes back to an interesting point that you mentioned, Kendra, where it's like the Black creators that keep the white gaze in mind, and like where that matters, where it shouldn't, and how it's affecting the present. Because when we think about the past experience where it's like, yeah, this is Forrest Vice, we're looking at Martin, we're looking at this, we have a lot of stuff to talk about. But then like now with some of the shows that make it very explicitly or pointedly about race, it's like, okay, look at us, this is how we live. Yeah, I think that's inhibited the way that we create. But how do we bounce back from something like that?
It reminds me of your earlier question too, which is like, can we talk about the messaging and the structure and the technical things in the same breath? And I think that often when the messaging is insincere, it affects the technical things in that way. It drags the entirety of the narrative down because people are focused on, quote unquote, what they're going to get across, and they're making food for the white audience and for the white executive palate. So I feel like Ray and Kendra have been saying, like leaving this sort of pressure to be socially relevant aside and to be the authentic Black voice for like white Hollywood aside will create more authentic art, which is kind of what we talk about all the time, is like our lives are like interesting experiences outside of this like Black struggle, which we keep asking to repatriate ourselves to because it's seemingly the only thing that the quote unquote white audience can find an entryway to identify with us in. So making art for ourselves will ultimately make the art better.
100%.
Like, I make it a point, I've had enough Black trauma. I make Black joy. Black is king, Beyonce.
Here she goes.
That's on Disney Plus. Don't mess up your Netflix sponsorship.
Oh, that's true. Homecoming, that's on Netflix.
Right. She's there. I'm gonna say in the 90s too, we didn't have a seat at the table and we didn't give a damn. We were building our own tables. And I think what you're also seeing too is a lot of assimilation of Black people who have been raised by their system. And they get into now these positions of power, and they're still, I always say it, the sophistication of racism is to get someone who looks like us, put them in position, and we think that because they look like us, they will have our best interests, but they do not. They continue the agenda of those who oppress us. That is the sophistication of racism. And that's why we've been tackling it the wrong way, because we keep saying, oh, put one of us in there. Oh, one of us is president now. Oh, one of us is, and we go over here and doing our little dance, and we don't even know that their heart posture isn't even for their people. They are also looking at us with the white gaze. They are also criticizing us, judging us, making it impossible for us to tell our stories, or the ones that count, put it that way. They will continue to put the foot, like they say, you cannot take down what is it, the Audre Lorde said, you cannot dismantle the master's house with the master's tools. You cannot do that. And if you're trying to get this system to like break down and to create a new one, it's certain people, y'all, to look like us that we shouldn't even be celebrating, that we shouldn't even be looking to for help. I'm telling you, and they're making it hard for us. They're making it hard for us to move past this moment and to really do all the things that we're all asking for. which is for all of us to have an opportunity to tell our stories. But unfortunately, we have people who have been conditioned and they are ready to continue to shuck and jive and dance and do whatever they got to do to continue to keep their jobs and continue to be in those circles. And that is my issue, because I can see right through it. I can see them clear as day when I meet them, and I'm like, no, you're not my sister, you're not my brother. And it's fine, but I just understand that I don't expect you to really, truly have our best interests at heart.
It's so true. I've been watching like 70s movies and stuff like that, like Ganja and Hess and Cane River, and like that makes me feel full. Like they were not worried about anybody else but us. It was prepared, seasoned for our palate, you know. And the stuff that's getting put out today doesn't really make me feel full, because it's not made for us, and it's not really ultimately made by us, because really you look at the rosters of some of these shows, like the movie Power that came out with Jamie Foxx and Dominique Fishback on Netflix. That entire creative team is white people. The writer, director, casting director, producers. Like I looked on the IMDb because I was like, something doesn't smell right with this script. Like they're selling superpower drugs, and the main girl wants to be a rapper when she grows up. Okay, let me take a look at this. Everybody is white. And they had Black Twitter talking about it. So it's like, you have to really evaluate what kitchen the food is coming from. You know, you can't eat at everybody's house. And I feel like people aren't looking at the kitchen enough too. Love Jamie Foxx. Dominique Fishback was excellent.
Yeah,
you know,
I love her too.
Was great. You know, like they were all doing their little thing, but at the end of the day, it's not their fault that, well, they did sign up for the
well, they gotta get their coin.
Everybody gotta eat.
Like Chadwick. Chadwick took honorable roles, and he died, but he left us a legacy of honorable roles. He quit All My Children because they wanted him to be some thug coon type of role. He quit, and so I think that's the spirit we need. It may be hard, but I feel like a lot of people, they care about the bag more than their dignity.
Yeah, well, they make terrible decisions to make a bag.
That is the key problem. Like, don't do anything unless it sits right with you, because you might have money, but that's also why a lot of these people have money and they're depressed and unhappy, anxiety high. They can't even enjoy the money because look what you did to get this money. So for me, I don't care about this shit. Like I like writing, but I got other skills. Like I was a graphic designer. I can go back to doing that. Like it's not that big a deal to me. And I would never do unquestionable things to come up, because I know that my value as a person is not tied to any of this. So
what would be your dollar amount to change your mind? Just kidding. I'm just kidding.
And in the words of Michelle from Destiny's Child, when Jesus say yes, nobody can say no. So.
Okay.
Nobody can say no. See how I went the downbeat for you? Go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, does anybody have any closing thoughts on this topic?
Yeah, so I guess my thought is I privately criticize, not publicly, but I respect people that publicly do it if it's in a constructive, like, here are the things that are wrong, not just, I hate this. So that's not valuable.
I actually think that the people that we need feedback from the most are the people outside of the industry. And so I've been thinking about ways to maybe, you know, kind of like having conversations openly like this, instruct people outside of the industry to make their points in a more constructive way, so that not only are their voices heard, but they're not bashing anybody, just like we talked about, but they're literally probably the most important. And also I don't want to say they have the least at stake, but they kind of do, because for anybody that's looking for a job for any of these people, maybe we might be hesitant to do it, but that's going to be the same group that's most qualified to speak in terms of giving constructive story notes and feedback in general. So yeah, I've been thinking about ways to, even casually when I'm talking with friends and family about what they think about stuff, using sort of language to be like, yeah, you mean XYZ, just to kind of put that out there, to slowly get everybody kind of on that same language as us, so that when they are like going off on social media, stuff like that, it's not just like, oh, this is trash, this is garbage, stuff like that, or commenting on just the background stuff. Like I remember, can't remember what that Tyler Perry show was, but the one on, I think it was Netflix, and
the Fall from Grace. I love
yeah,
it.
the guy was drinking the water in the background, and the black sort of
for
talking about the
comedy
wig.
purposes, that shit was funny. Ashtray, bitch.
Stuff.
That movie wasn't supposed to be funny. That's what.
That's what I'm saying.
So it was
Yeah.
comedy to me. I'm cracking.
But that's the only thing I could think to do, because I do really think that discourse is important in a public medium. But yeah, absolutely, privately, definitely would go deeper as well, because that's important. Yeah.
Also, like, we have to have a conversation about how we evaluate our feedback, and like, you have to know that all the praise that you're getting, you need to know where it's coming from and why it's coming. And I think a lot of creatives allow themselves to like put something out there and they get a lot of positive feedback, but they're not digging deeper into where that's coming from and why. And then it makes them resistant to negative feedback at the same time. Because they're like, well, you know, like someone over there said it was great, so I'm gonna choose the narrative of it being great instead of trying to like make their art better, you know? So I think that's important.
Because a lot of people are surrounding themselves with people who think like them, and it's like an echo chamber.
Mm-hmm.
And thankfully, I have a group of people that we all are very different, you know, and honestly, the people that I care about the most are my friends and family, because everything that I write, I talk to them about it. You know, I ask them, what do you want to see? I've asked all the men that I know, what type of Black man do you want to see? And they all are saying the same thing of what they're tired of and what they would love to see on screen. So that's already telling you that is something that is untapped at this moment. But we're taking cues from people who aren't the Black men, you know, or who hate Black men, you know, for whatever reason. And then it becomes an issue of them being completely just missed out of the equation, and they don't get any attention until they become a hashtag. And I'm tired of that. I am tired of us celebrating them once they're dead. It's like, oh yeah, we love them, but then when they're here, you're not even showing them any kind of like, you know, love or anything. But yeah, so
yeah,
yeah,
I agree.